All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Live. If you have any questions at all, please fire them away in the comments. The best shows are ones where I'm answering questions from people that want real-time answers, because mortgage, real estate, like most things change every single day. Advice I gave in September might not be relevant in October. There might be things that are discussed today that might not be relevant in November or December, but nonetheless, we are going to talk about strategies for buying real estate in the winter, because I think a lot of people are going to win this winter despite high interest rates, despite a market where not as many transactions are happening. And so we'll get into that in a second. Before I do that and share with you the good news that there's opportunities abound, and I've got clients winning on a daily basis, I want to share with you something from my buddy Logan Madashami. Maybe you've seen him on CNBC. But he's got really, really great real estate housing data. And it's just interesting, if nothing else, what happens when mortgage rates continue to go up and prices remain the same. As most of you guys can guess and figure out, less and less people can afford or qualify for mortgage. So check out this. And, then I'll talk about some positives, because this is probably going to be one of those things where people look at it, they go, holy guacamole. He posted this a couple days ago on his Instagram. Go give Logan a follow. Logan Madashami on Instagram. Great information there. Works for Housing Wire as well and puts out a bunch of great information and podcast stuff with Housing Wire. But at 3%, 50 million households would qualify for a $400,000 mortgage. This is from the John Burns Research and Consulting. They do a bunch of great work as well. At 7%, almost half, right? 23 million less households would qualify. And from 7 to 8, which we've just experienced over the last few months, another 5 million households got priced out, got knocked out of the game. Now we're down to 22 million from the 50 million that was, those that would qualify for a $400,000 mortgage. A couple things to take away. One is 3% is not normal. So to compare anything to 2021, you got to kind of take it not with a grain of salt, but maybe a handful of salt, because 2021 was abnormal. 3% rate. People probably qualified for more than they could or should because rates were, really abnormally low, but interesting to look at nonetheless. So thanks, Logan, for that great piece of content. I'm going to continue to follow that guy. He's got great stuff. What do we got? We got my buddy Ryan Lundquist. Thanks for joining as always, Ryan. And those that follow this channel know that if you want really good real estate data and graphs and commentary, go to sacramentoappraisalblog.com. That's Ryan's blog. I believe his blog is about the same age as my oldest son, who's a freshman in high school. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but your blog's 14 or 15 years old, I believe, if I remember correctly. So where did that question go? What are you seeing with mortgage applications on your side of things since rates have been flirting with 8%? Mortgage applications, this is always a funny one, Ryan, because I feel like I have got a big enough sample size to feel what the general market is feeling, except that at the same time where mortgage applications are down nationally, me and my team are working extra hard. We're creating new relationships with more real estate agents. And so mortgage applications, at least in the data that I'm seeing so far, have not ticked down that much. But I know that it's a hard stat to nail when we're creating new partnerships. We're bringing in new real estate agent partners. We're generating business from agents who are working with investors who love to buy in the wintertime, who love it when interest rates go higher. And so across the board, mortgage applications are down. My personal business and my team, mortgage rates, have an effect, but not as big an effect, because it's a headwind that we're running towards and trending up into, where it's holding us back from 10, 15, 20% increase in applications because of those interest rate headwinds. So mortgage applications down. I didn't see, I think every Wednesday is when that number comes out where I'll look at it nationwide. Sometimes I get data overwhelm and data overload. So I stop looking at some of those numbers, even stop looking at some of the inflation numbers, to be completely honest. I've got to see this when I'm less busy and can focus. I'll watch under another account for extra algo credit. There you go, all-nighter. Watch it from this account. Watch it from another account. If you're able, fire off any questions you have. I'd love to answer them. And really, they're questions that I couldn't even think to ask myself. But when people ask questions in this format, I think it's incredibly valuable because no doubt other people have the same questions. And as a mortgage broker who's active every single day, having conversations with agents every single day, having conversations with consumers every single day, I feel like I have the authority to give feedback on what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and whatnot, which on that note, I'm hearing a couple different things. I'm hearing one, massive opportunity is in front of us, and there's a lot of investors that are getting really excited when things hit 21 days on market, 30 days on market, 40 days on market. Like, this is a great time to be a savvy and patient investor, because the memo has not landed for a lot of sellers. I'm talking to list side agents who don't really get it too, that, on the buy side, we got a little bit of power. We got a little bit of leverage. You're going to want to play nice with us, especially when you got a buyer who's accepted a contract and is moving forward. I had an agent who was, in my opinion, being a little bit too aggressive with the negotiations around credit. And so I told them straight up, I said, listen, you're going to push so hard that you might just get this buyer to back out. And if this buyer backs out, you're back on market at a time where there's less people willing and able to buy your home. Interest rates are higher, so there's not as many that are able. There's not as many buyers the later you go into the winter in general, so there's less that are willing. Like, don't do that to yourself. Maybe you bend a little bit. Maybe you give a couple thousand in credit that you wouldn't have had to give to keep the deal together in the springtime. So interesting times. Good evening, Mr. Kevin Hawthorne. I appreciate you, man, all the way from Florida, supporting as you always do. Appreciate you. Brian Adams, what's happening? Thanks for joining. I appreciate you. Sharon Tran, my friend, question on temporary rate buy down. Besides 1.0, 2.1, 3.21, are there other options like 1.1? And I'll stop there because I have not heard of a 2.2 or a 2.21. 1.0, 2.1, 3.21, and 1.1. All of those for sure exist. Excuse me. I haven't heard of 2.2 or 2.21, but this is a great topic with temporary buy downs. I give my advice, and from what I see and from what I hear, that's all this is one man's advice on the temporary rate buy downs. And in your case, Sharon, if you're buying a new build or a resale, it doesn't really matter. You got to get strategic around it. If you've got 20,000 in credit from the seller, 15,000 in credit, maybe you have enough to do a 2.1 buy down or even a 3.21, depending on the price point. But maybe you don't want to do that long of a buy down. If I were to bet, I would say that in the next 12 to 18 months, rates could, should, might, I don't want to use any certainty words because who knows, be in the low sixes. And so the downside of a 3.21 buy down might be that you might structure it in a way where it goes 4.99, 5.99, 6.99, $799. And while you'll get a refund whenever you refinance, what if you negotiate a 2-1 and you're going 599, 699, 799, and instead of a 3-2-1 with 25,000 in credit, you do a 2-1, $10,000 covers your closing costs, and then you go 599, and you're 3 months into the 699, you refinance it at 6.25, 30-year fixed. With the 3-2-1, you're using all the credit on the buy down, and you might be at a 599 15 months from now, thinking to yourself, well, like, is the juice worth the squeeze? I'm gonna temporarily go to 6.25, and sure, it's a 30-year fix, but like I'm hurting myself in the short term. So I don't know. It's something that at the very least, when you're thinking about how to write it, what of these temporary buy downs to do, you got to think of the future and the whole game plan, and not just like the immediate look of the buy down. Hopefully that made sense. A lot of words came out of my mouth. But let me know if I got to clarify any of that. Joey Garessi, my man. Hope all is well. Good to see you, brother. OKC is going to be good this year in basketball, huh? Sat Kings, baby. We might just be the champions, bro. That's probably a long shot, but I'm excited about the season nonetheless. NBA basketball season starts tomorrow. I'm liking Zuber's suggestion for investors to shop in the luxury submarkets, make disrespectful offers to fish for the true motivated sellers out there and get a great deal. I agree 1,000%. And another thing, which I would say too, for a savvier investor like you, Joey, is I say this knowing that it doesn't involve me as a mortgage broker. Like, there's going to be creative stuff that goes on. There's going to be sub to, there's going to be seller financing. There's going to be all these real estate deals that are put together where you can win, and you can win massively without my help, which is fine. I just like to see people win, whether, you need the help of a mortgage broker or not. There's going to be the house that's listed. Quite honestly, I'm closing on one next Monday where this house was listed at 1.8 million. And I think it was 1-2 with 30,000 in credit was the final number. So 117. Was that the final number? Something like that. Something like 600,000 less than it was initially listed at. Was it listed a little high to begin with? Probably. But like, that's a market where, especially something that's not turnkey, especially something that needs a little bit of work, people aren't going out and spending 1.5 million to not move in right away. Like, the people that are buying at that price point aren't the ones that are bringing the Makita tool set and the, hammer. Like, they don't want to do work. So this buyer of ours was able to get what I think is a phenomenal deal on a great house, put a little work into it. It's probably a $2 million house. So go out there and get some deals. I like it. All right. Hit the like button. I appreciate that. The YouTubes, while I've continued to put out content, continue to go live when I get a chance, I haven't had as much time to dedicate to it. So let's hit the like button. Let's get the algorithm putting this in front of more people so we can help more people make good decisions around how they finance homes. How have you seen questions from applicants shift? Are they asking more questions, more creative questions, anything different? This is a phenomenal question. And I'll tell you what has changed for me in my business, because we're talking to consumers all day, every day. I think consumers are afraid of making a mistake. Consumers are, as they should be, taking a closer look at everything. I talked in another podcast I did with Mike Zuber. Buyers are less willing to overlook condition, repairs, things that they probably would overlook in other markets. You're buying something, you got a 3% interest rate, the payment's $2,400 a month. Neighborhoods, yeah, it's kind of where you want to live, and the house is good enough. Sign, get through it, close, everything's good. That was the mentality back then. When you're paying 7.5% and your mortgage payment's $4,300 a month, you're putting a little bit of extra thought into it. And you might be combing through some things that you might not have looked at when your payment was $2,400 a month. That's what I'm seeing on my side. Buyers asking more questions, willing to overlook, repairs or other problems with homes, where if the sellers are like, nope, not repairing it. And you're like, listen, man, there's $2,400 in dry rot. The truth is the seller should just be like, okay, cool. If that's what it takes to appease the buyer, cool. Buyers are willing to cancel. That's what I'm seeing. And I'm seeing it in how they talk. I'm seeing it in their actions. They're backing out, right? And they're saying, you know what? On second thought, never mind. Because it is a bigger commitment at $4,300 a month, right? And so that's the difference I'm seeing right now, is a little bit more caution from buyers, a little bit more fear and unwillingness to overlook the small stuff. I mean, shoot, 2021, buyers were skipping inspections, waiving appraisal contingency, waiving it all. I'll buy it and I'll give you 100,000 more it's listed for. How soon can we close? Not something I'd recommend, honestly. Builder said I can only use the builder credit on buy down, but not closing costs. And now it may not be enough for a 3-2-1. What? That doesn't make any sense. If they're willing to give you X dollars in buy down, why would they care what it was used on? That sounds like a big old bologna sandwich to me, Sharon. Send me an email if you want, but if they're offering X in credit, let's call it $20,000. And they're saying, well, you can't do a 3-2-1 because the 3-2-1 costs $2,250 or $22,500. But you can do a 2-1, and the 2-1 is $14,000. Like, why not let you use the other 6 for closing costs? It's still $20,000. They're either full of shit or they're trying to get away with offering you less credit. I don't know. Whatever the case, I don't like it, dude. I don't trust me a builder. But you gotta use their financing to get their credits, and so you got to play their game. I get some clarity around that, and maybe, it might be in your best interest too if they're like, listen, 20 grand is like the credit. There's not enough for the 3-2-1, so you got to do 2-1. You can't use it towards closing costs. Maybe you tell them, all right, well then instead of paying $489, let me pay $491, $500. Give me the extra $2,500 in credit, so now I can do a 3-2-1 on a slightly higher purchase price, because that's probably better for you. Another great question, Mr. Joey Garessi. Are you seeing more investors do DSCR since conventional LLPAs have made conventional more expensive? For those that don't know, since Joey's using fancy terms, loan level price adjustments basically means, on conventional loans, these adjustments are making it to where you got to pay a couple points to get yourself, maybe even 8.5% on an investor loan, depending on your credit score and your down payment. Or more people just doing a debt service coverage ratio loan where you can get the same terms. You just don't have to show up with all the same documents you would if you were doing a conventional loan. Conventional loan, the lender's looking at the buyer. What does it say on your pay stub and on your W-2? How much do you earn and how much debt do you have? And the debt you have versus your income, that's how conventional loans work. On debt service coverage ratio loans, they say this property gets $2,000 a month in rent. your principal, interest, tax, and insurance on this loan with 20% down is $1,852. So the debt service covers the payment, and they do it that way versus based on your income. And so, yeah, I am seeing more DSCR loans, Joey, which for a lot of investors, you got more than 10 properties, you're doing DSCR. If you're, got complicated business taxes and it's just more trouble than it's worth, you do DSCR. If you write off a bunch of stuff on your taxes and you can't qualify conventional, you're doing DSCR. So a lot of reasons to go DSCR in 2023 and 2024. And I would guess that that's probably going to be something that continues. Brian Adams, if a home costs 500 grand and I want the payment to be 2,500 a month, how much would I need to put down? This is a great question. And you know what I'm going to do? I am going to pull up a scenario so we can all walk through it, because I like seeing the numbers. I think a lot of people like seeing the numbers. Conventional purchase estimate. Do you have any specifics you want to see on property taxes or homeowners insurance, Brian? Because in California, I'm going to guesstimate 1.25% on property taxes. And I'm guessing we want to see the all-in payment. There's no use in just looking at the payment. Here we go. Taking off mortgage insurance because we're going to have to put more than 20% down. Faux show. All right. Here's what I'm going to do. This is not an offer to lend. This is a rough estimate. 2,500 bucks used to be all right. You want a $2,500 payment? You want to buy something for 500 grand? You know what we should do? Oh, that's mortgage rates. Remove that. Here's my question for folks. Before we show you how much do you think you need to put down to get a $2,500 payment? This will be a fun game. $500,000 house. You want a total payment, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance of $2,500 a month. How much do you need to put down? All right. Any guesses? Final call. $2,500 payment. You're very, very close, Mr. Brian Adams. Hopefully people can see this. Is that a big enough view? Let me see. $500,000 purchase, 45% down. So this is a 55% loan to value. So $225 down. Principal, interest, taxes, insurance. Now, 1.25% is California. In other states, maybe the property tax is different, but this is an all-in payment of $2,523. I'm using a 7.499 interest rate. It's going to cost you something to get that. Again, not an offer to lend. I just threw out a random guesstimate there. And with prepaid property taxes, homeowners insurance, all the third-party stuff, plus the down payment, it's $237 estimated total out of pocket. So as you can see, honestly, the days of a $2,500 mortgage payment in these markets where, $500,000 is what you have to spend, kind of gone. Like I'll change this real quickly to 80% loan to value. So you can see what it looks like with 20% down. 20% down, which is a lot of, capital. Not a lot of people have. $3,400 a month, roughly $3,397. So, I get it. I get that housing and mortgages are a stretch for a lot of people. Thanks for that question. I appreciate it. I think that's a good little exercise to go through, just to show you that, those who haven't looked at this stuff for a while, I get those conversations as well. And someone reached out to me and goes, "Hey, I want to buy something around 700,000 and, we've got 5% down and I'm looking for a payment under $3,000. I already know they haven't looked at things in a while, because, when I type in a number like 700, I got it off the screen now, but especially if you put 5% down, if you put 20% down on 700, you've still got a 47.55 payment. And so the people that were buying it at 500, and there was quite a few that in 20 and 21, they upgraded that house and they bought something for 800. They took the equity, they threw it at the new house, got stellar, historically low interest rates, and had a payment of $2,900 on a big, nice house. Those days have unfortunately come and gone, but all in. What's up, Alex Leapy? Good to see you here, brother. Hope all is well with you. Can you shed some light on Bay Area housing? Are there consumers paying $6,000 on mortgage payments who only qualify near $750,000? I mean, there's certainly people out there that are buying, and you're talking to Bay Area specific, which is pretty close to where I'm at. We do a lot of business there. Surprises me still on something I saw recently. One of the markets that was selling at or above list price was San Jose. And so in the expensive markets where you'd think there'd be some price softening with interest rates going up, you're just not seeing it. There's still enough demand in those areas that people want to live in, to where people are making it happen, whether it's, gift funds from a family member and a bigger down payment, whether it's, 2 or 3 co-borrowers all coming together to buy something, and they rent out the 4th bedroom for $1,650 a month, whatever it is. There's transactions happening. There's people buying, and, for that $750, if the down payment is smaller, then you probably are looking at a payment, around $6,000. Yeah. $750, 5% down. Get about 6 times. Pretty much nailed it, Brian. Crushed it. Good work. Oh, you would tip this live. Good with keeping your payment between $2,500 and $3,000. Yeah, you're looking at stuff between $450 and $500. What market are you in, Brian? Are you in Northern California? Yeah, 2026, you'll have between $200 and $250, which is great. Regardless of when you buy, if you buy and you are buying like right now, the good news about higher interest rates is, like, it can't get any worse. The loans I'm doing right now, I'm like, if rates come down, you get to refinance and lower your payment. If they never come down, then it can't get any worse. They can't negotiate you up. Sorry, I got a lot of dust. My laptop, it's really dusty. Dusting it off. Oh, you're in Massachusetts, Brian. Sweet. I know some great loan officers in Massachusetts. Fun fact, licensed in 48 states. The 2 states I'm not licensed in, Massachusetts and New York. But Brian Adams is still one of my favorites, so I can answer any questions you have ever. More than happy to help. And I'm only giving you the best info because I'm not doing it for a loan, because I can't write one. Here you go, Joey Garessi. Light the beam. Sacramento Kings basketball. Playing Utah on Wednesday, and then home at Sacramento Friday night against the Warriors. All right, Joey Garessi. That King shout out was for you, because I know you're excited about my Sacramento Kings. Not as quite excited as I am, but they're going to be fun to watch. Close family member interested in pursuing a mortgage loan officer career. I know the industry is a grind, but I know he's got the work ethic and people skills to do it. Should he sign up for NMLS study class? Well, taking and passing your NMLS test is a very, very small part of it. And so that's easy enough. No matter where he does that, you just pass it. None of the stuff on that stupid test will help you in your mortgage career. The stuff that you have to pass that has to do with, doing things legally and ethically and what you'd have to report if you see it and all that is great. But as far as having a career in mortgage, it's not like you pass the bar and have all this law knowledge and now you're a great lawyer. Running a mortgage business is this humongous, vast array of skills that makes you successful. And the NMLS test is just, I don't know. At least it's a higher bar than getting your real estate license, but it's still not a very high bar. And somebody passing that, I would warn them against celebrating that you passed the NMLS test, because in a business that's 100% commission, where you only get paid if you close a loan, it takes, in my opinion, a lot of time, effort, and energy to be good enough to earn a deal from somebody, to earn the trust to be the one writing their mortgage and handling such a big transaction. And so it's something that takes a lot of time to develop. Been listening to a lot of Jim Rohn, so I was going to pull out some good Jim Rohn stuff, but also a Kings fan, but the LA Kings hockey. So different Kings. Well, go Kings. I don't follow any hockey teams, so I'm rooting for you, all-nighter hider, because I got no dog in the fight in hockey. If nobody else has anything else, I am going to get, I know I talked about winter real estate strategy in the beginning, and really the strategy is to pay close attention to your market. And I think Joey might have hit the nail on the head right here, bringing up Zubers. Like, if you want to know who's motivated, go out there and put in an offer. And if you see something that's listed at 350 grand and it's been on the market for 47 days, 47 days tells you something, tells you it's not going to sell for 350. And if you want to know how motivated they are, offer them 295. If they're not very motivated, they'll tell you to F off. They might not even respond. But if they really need to sell, really need to sell, they'll be like, you know what? This is way lower than we thought, but let's at least start negotiating with this person. Maybe they counter you at 315. Maybe 315 was your number anyway. You just 295 to see what would happen. So anyhow, if you're looking for great deals in real estate, I promise you the fourth quarter is where they lie. Last year, I said this same thing and I was screaming from the rooftops. Go out there, find motivated sellers, put in offers that have the terms that you want. 295, 15,000 in seller credit, 550, 20,000 in seller credit, whatever it is. After you've done the work to kind of structure on the mortgage side, hey, if I got something for 520 and I got 20,000 in credit to do a 2-1 buy down and pay for closing costs or whatever that looks like, armed with that info, go out and make the offers in the winter months. That's where these offers actually get accepted. Once we get into February and March of next year, especially if rates come down, it's going to be just like last year, where it's like, man, I saw some people get some great deals in November, December. What happened? Well, that ship has sailed, and it probably will sail again. As interest rates come down, the ability to negotiate the great deals that are happening will probably start to dry up. That's just my guesstimate, and the past has told me that may likely happen because it happened last year. So keep doing the work, keep checking out your market, offers and follow up, just like All Nighter said. Type that to yourself. Offers and follow up. Offers and follow up. Great way to end it. Thanks for that piece of advice. I appreciate it. You guys have a great one. Bye-bye.